Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita as it is, chapter 12, devotional service, text 16. And I do my best to raise up my voice. Oh, mic is coming. Okay, great. Anapeksha Kshuchirdaksha Udasino Gata Vyataha Sarvarambha Parityagi Yomad Bhaktak Samipriyaha Anapekshaha neutral, Suchihi pure, Dakshaha expert, Udasinaha free from care, Gatavyataha freed from all distress, Sarva Arambha of all endeavors, Parityagi renouncer, Yaha anyone who, Mad Bhaktaha my devotee, Saha he, me to me, sorry it was man, to me, Priyaha very dear, my devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. Can everyone hear me? Is it okay? Yeah, I'm trying. My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. Purport by His Divine Grace and Bhakti-yoga Swami Srila Prabhupada. Money may be offered to a devotee, but he should not struggle to acquire it. If automatically, by the grace of the Supreme, money comes to him, he is not agitated. Naturally, a devotee takes a bath at least twice in a day, and rises early in the morning for devotional service. Thus he is naturally clean both inwardly and outwardly. A devotee is always expert because he fully knows the essence of all activities of life, and he is convinced of the authoritative scriptures. A devotee never takes the part of a particular party, therefore he is carefree. He is never pained because he is free from all designations. He knows that his body is a designation, so if there are some bodily pains, he is free. The pure devotee does not endeavor for anything which is against the principles of devotional service. For example, constructing a big building requires great energy, and a devotee does not take such business if it does not benefit him by advancing his devotional service. He may construct a temple for the Lord, and for that he may take all kinds of anxiety, but he does not construct a big house for his personal relations. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Dhyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachanam Pangum Langayati Girim Yatkripatamaham Bandhe Shri Gurun Dinataranam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya evacha Pachitanam Pahunibhya Vaishnavebhya Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I'll read the translation again, and the purport is relatively short, so we can cover it sentence by sentence. My devotee, who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. So this beautiful verse describes the qualities of some of the qualities of pure devotee of the Lord. And the very first sentence goes, "My devotee, who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities." And this is one of the first qualifications of pure devotees, like His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-yoga Shiva Prabhupada. Like if we take his years before he went to America, for example, so many things happened to him. You know, once a cow hit him, and that was a pretty serious blow, and he suffered from sun strikes, from scorching heat, and he also suffered because he was when he quit his business, he didn't have enough money, so he had to collect donations. And if any one of you ever done this, collecting donations, you know, we know it's, you know, for the false ego, it's quite a serious it's quite a serious pain. Of course, Prabhupada didn't have false ego, but still, life of a beggar is not what many people aspire for. And Prabhupada had so much struggle, but he didn't quit in spite of all the troubles he had to undergo, because as this sentence goes, my devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities. So Srila Prabhupada wasn't dependent on the ordinary course of activities. His mission never changed. During his preaching years, he could try different preaching tactics to attract people, to explain them the essence of Krishna consciousness. But the main message, the main purpose of his coming to the West never changed. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, money may be offered to a devotee, but he should not struggle to acquire it. This is also a difficult part for many, because the more Kali Yuga progresses, the more basically the monetary need becomes more acute, and the way the society is made nowadays is conducive towards this, towards creating this urge, this need to make money, to have money. And it goes that far that some people who make money, this is a part of their upbringing. This is what parents explain them, that my son, if you can't make money, if you can't make a particular amount, you're actually not a man, you're not a man. You can be either man or employee, okay? So let's put it in a soft way. So, and some people, they bring up their children in such a way that, okay, if you can't make money, you're not good enough. But this all just due to the fact that monetary need becomes more and more acute, and so-called economic development makes this need even more acute, because the more money people make, the more inflation is there, so the prices rise up, and then you need to make more money, and again, the more money you have, this is how the society works. And especially those devotees who are advancing spiritually, when we advance spiritually, sometimes we are put into trial, and Maya can offer a devotee everything. Can offer a big amount of money, or a big position, or anything. But as Srila Prabhupada writes here, money may be offered to a devotee, but he should not struggle to acquire it. Means, depending upon our nature, we may have a nature of a businessman. And then, of course, this is what we should do. We should go for it. But if it's a real struggle, and if after all efforts we can't make it, then at least we should not get sad. So if automatically by the grace of the Supreme money comes to him, he's not agitated. And if you, maybe it's not your experience, but my experience is, when I see a big amount of money and no one is around and no cameras, and just me and money, so then it immediately brings in some agitation. I start thinking, okay, so what could I buy by spending this money, or maybe I should put in my bank account and it will make more money. So just but a pure devotee is never agitated, although they for the Lord's mission they have big amounts of money. Like this temple, this upcoming temple in Mayapur, the cost is huge, and devotees have to collect a lot of money to finish this construction, dozens of millions of US dollars. But the pure devotee is never agitated. Naturally, a devotee takes bath at least twice in a day and rises early in the morning for devotional service. And this was one of the main instructions of Srila Prabhupada. He emphasized rising up early in the morning so much that he said that a devotee is one who rises up before 4 o'clock. Basically, a devotee is one who wakes up before 4 o'clock, takes bath, and attends Mangal Arati and chants his rounds. And there are so many devotees who struggle with this instruction for different reasons, like they have to, they're coming back from their work late, and they are eating at night time, and then it's very difficult to wake up. But if we are capable to fulfill this instruction by Srila Prabhupada, then naturally we'll have a very good platform for spiritual progress. And as I was explained by some of our spiritual leaders, we have 3 gunas. Of course, we all know them: Sattva guna, Raja guna, and Tama guna. And as far as human form of life concerned, our main guna, our work guna, is Raja guna. Okay, so humans are naturally affected by the mode of passion, which means that we have to do something. We have to achieve some goals in life. We have to be actively engaged in something. Like men are actively engaged in some sort of work or business or service. And Rajaguna is a productive mode, and also it's basically it's the mode of passion. So this is our passion. What are we passionate about? What we want? And there is another guna which is tamaguna, ignorance, and ignorance is there. One of the good things ignorance does, it allows us to rest, because we have to put themselves in this state of sleep to rest, and sleep is ignorance. And this good also has its byproducts, like big sufferings, and especially when the worst condition is when Rajaguna and Tamaguna mixes together. So then a person undergoes acute sufferings, or they can do crazy things, especially if they take intoxications. And our main guna, as humans, as human beings, is Raja Guna. And basically the main task for anyone's human life is to bring this Raja Guna under control. Because if this mode is not controlled, it's like nuclear power. You all know nuclear power, right? So nuclear power, if it's controlled, it can produce electricity. There are nuclear power stations all over the world, and if it's not controlled, then it's a big explosion and everything around is devastated. So same thing, if our Raja Guna is under control, if our desires, our pursuits, our efforts are controlled, then it's beautiful. We can do so much work for Krishna. We can achieve so many things in life. We can revive our Krishna consciousness. But if the mode of Raja Guna is not controlled, then uncontrolled lust is there, and finally when Tamaguna kicks in, then it's anger and complete delusion. So to to be efficient in life, those two gunas, Raja Guna and Tamaguna, they should be separated by the third mode of material nature, which is Sattva Guna. And if they are separated, then it's beautiful. Like when we wake up early in the morning and take bath, and then we attend Mangalarati, and then we chant our rounds. Then when the time comes for productive phase of the day, after we have taken the breakfast and we get to work or doing whatever we have to do, it's so nice, it's so beautiful. Our mind is peaceful, and everything is great. But if everyone probably has a opposite experience when we wake up late. Right, when we wake up late and we have to attend to our responsibilities almost right away, we woke up. So it's not that great day. And the problem with the human society nowadays is those two modes, Raja Guna and Tamaguna, are not separated. So they're not separated because people wake up late and they immediately either take a short morning walk, then take breakfast, then they go for their work. Then they're coming back from work late, and they are eating and doing whatever they are doing. Then they go to sleep late, and in order to live in this way, if we want to live in this way, if our Rajaguna and Tamaguna are not separated, people require some stimulants to do that, because when you have to lift up right away, when you have to start from ignorance to passion, you need something. You need coffee, you need a drug, you need some stimulant. And this is what people do. They minimum what they do, they drink coffee, or they may take some sort of pills to be more efficient in their work. And later, when they come from work, because they are in the mode of Raja Guna and they can't take rest because their mind is agitated, they have to take something which brings them into this condition of Tamaguna. And so thus they drink or they take another drug. So this is how it goes. But the beauty of a devotee's life is when we separate those two gunas by the mode of Sattva Guna, during which time, early morning, we do our spiritual practice. Then we don't need any stimulants. We don't need coffee. We don't need alcohol. We don't need anything. And our body can produce all the necessary chemicals on its own. We don't need to take anything from outside. So a devotee is always expert because he fully knows the essence of all activities of life, and he is convinced of the authoritative scriptures. Everyone in the society, every business, all the governments, they appreciate people who are expert in their particular fields of professional activities. This is why the governments and businesses, they hire experts. They hire a particular type of professionals. But here Srila Prabhupada writes that a devotee is always expert. So does it mean that devotee is expert in all the fields of activities? Doesn't matter. You can invite him for anything and everything. Well, yes, in the sense that the devotee knows the essence of our activities. He knows the essence of our activities. Means he can, let's say, some organizations invite our preachers, like Radhanand Maharaj. They invite him to give. Let's say Google invites him to give some speech over there, and Radhanand Maharaj is, I guess, he's not a professional in the field of Google. All these, search engines and whatever internet stuff is there. But Radhanand Maharaj is a self-realized person, so he can really help those professionals by just preaching them the spiritual knowledge. And devotees preaching can be really, really powerful. Like Srila Prabhupada, by his preaching, he could wake up thousands of people. And those people, they weren't, Indians with good cultural upbringing from high-class families. They weren't pure. They were completely deluded, and many of them, they were drug addicts, hippies, etc. But by his preaching, by his powerful sound vibration, Srila Prabhupada could lift them up to the spiritual platform, and many of them are still there practicing spiritual life. So this is actually the best way to help any professional and to help any man, is to help him or her to see the truth, to understand the essence of life. Then their professional activities can be automatically regulated in a successful way. A devotee never takes the part of a particular party, therefore he is carefree. And those who do that, who take a part of a particular party, they may experience the opposite result of being disturbed. He's never pained because he's free from all designations. And this is also a challenging part, because sometimes we get disease, sometimes devotees get cancer and other bad stuff. But the one who is self-realized, he's not disturbed by the diseases he's got. And the best example is of course Srila Prabhupada's example. Like when he was lying on his deathbed, Srila Prabhupada complained that he was poisoned. And when disciples got alarmed, who poisoned you, Prabhupada? Then Prabhupada explained that he wasn't poisoned by anyone, neither by his doctors, nor by his disciples, but he was poisoned by his own urine. He couldn't pass urine. That was his problem. And when one is in such a condition, he undergoes a severe pain. Big pain is a big suffering. People suffer very much. And also he had the liver problem. It was all interconnected, all these problems. But Srila Prabhupada wasn't disturbed at all. Although his body experienced severe pain, he wasn't disturbed. Because he was aloof from the body, and till his last breath, Srila Prabhupada went on with his preaching to his disciples. The pure devotee does not endeavor for anything which is against the principles of devotional service. Well, this is also a very good instruction. What distinguishes a beginner in devotional service from, let's say, a second level devotee, Madhyamadhikari, is that Madhyamadhikari is more careful to have less things which contradict to his devotional service. A beginner may have some sorts of addictions or some attachment towards asatsanga, and Madhyama Adhikari is more careful because he prefers to be cautious with Maya, with the material energy, and so he's more careful to. He's more on the side of devotional service, and because we all have to go outside of Srila Prabhupada's books to execute our professional responsibilities. When we do that, we still remember that we're doing it basically out of duty, and if we can use that knowledge, that material knowledge we acquire in devotional service, that's the best thing. But a real devotee is never proud by his material achievements, because this is actually the main source of material contamination for us is pride. When we are proud, I have so much knowledge, I have so much money, I have so much power. So this is what really contaminates our devotional service. And for example, constructing a big building requires great energy, and the devotee does not take to such business if it does not benefit him by advancing his devotional service. He may construct a temple for the Lord, and for that he may take all kinds of anxiety, but he does not construct a big house for his personal relations. So even if a devotee has to construct a big house, he remembers that this is what he's doing. He's constructing a bigger temple for his Lord, and when our activities are dovetailed, connected to our devotional service, then everything has a sense. There is it's very good to earn millions of dollars if this money can be used in devotional service. It's very good to construct a huge house if this can be used for devotees to congregate and chant the holy name and take prasadam. But everything loses its meaning when we try doing the same things for basically just boast to other people. Okay, I'm so wealthy, I have such a big house, I have this car, I have that car, and and in this way, if people do like this, it just breeds envy, and envy never leads to any good results. And Krishna says that the devotee who has these qualities is very dear to him. Why? Because our main goal as practicing devotees is to be able to concentrate our mind on Krishna in the form of his holy name, on the Krishna in his deity form. And the more our mind is focused on Krishna, the more efficient we are in executing of our spiritual and even material responsibilities. And one of the best examples in this connection is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was a judge. So British hired him to do this work. So he was so efficient. He was such a nice worker that I heard that British even constructed a small railroad from, I don't know what was that, train, what's that called, tramway. Anyway, so it was a big, it was a little railroad from his house to the courtyard. I don't know. You correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, Bhaktivinoda Thakur could do that much which a few other judges couldn't do, and he was very efficient, and the government requested him to do some important jobs on several occasions. And one of those occasions was when a famous yogi in Orissa proclaimed himself to be Mahavishnu. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur was commissioned by the British government to punish this guy, and he did it very efficiently. So the more our consciousness is focused on Krishna, the more we are dear to Krishna, and this means that every devotee who is doing this, every devotee who is more or less stable in his spiritual practice, gets spiritual experience. Either we participate in a kirtan and start feeling taste, or we start feeling taste of our japa, or Krishna conscious philosophy starts unveiling to us, so we start understanding so much by reading the same things, same books we read already a few times. We start realizing some new things. So, and finally, when in such state of consciousness, the devotee quits his body and his consciousness is focused on Krishna, then he can go back to Godhead, or Krishna may send him to another body to fulfill a particular mission, to become a spiritual master, or to do some other services like this. So we stop here. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Sorry?
Yesterday, she was here, so she said to do 17 also because it got into short.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, no problem. Whoever is doing lecture tomorrow can cover the two questions, the two texts. Yes, no problem.
17 also.
Yeah.
Because the texts are short.
Okay, no problem. Tomorrow, they can read two texts. No problem. So, any more questions or comments?
As you see, we are in this three modes of nature you are speaking, or 50 modes of nature, Rajagun and Tamagun, as we require studying. So,
I'm sorry. Can you please speak a little bit louder? And
you were speaking.
I'm deaf. I'm sorry.
About the gunas.
Okay, gunas. Yes. Yeah.
And you are separating to remove those gunas. So in this particular practice, we are completely entangled with these gunas. And although we try to come out from there, that is very difficult. Although we are chanting, we are doing so many things, but still we feel that it is very difficult to come out. What is the solution? Can you put some light on that?
So are you talking about tamaguna, right? Well, if I got it right, we all have a particular karma, prarabdha karma, and we all have a particular material mission to fulfill. Like even devotees, when they get married, they have to pursue a particular profession, either a businessman or serviceman or whatever. And so in accordance with our karma, we are given a particular set of gunas. Okay, so and tamaguna is also there, ignorance is also there, and it may be a consequence of our previous activities, or so somehow or other we are given a particular mindset, a particular set of gunas, and our task is to work with this. And also another thing is, as we get older, the body basically becomes the biggest source of misery for us, right? So in the like now it's the summertime, it's hot, so we have a tendency to doze off because of the brain overheat and stuff like this. So if you're talking about such manifestations of tamaguna as we have to sleep more, with dozing off when we see it, etc. So then we have to cope with this. We have to live with this, and we have to give some slack to our body sometimes, especially when the weather is like this. Temperature is near 50 degrees. And in the long run, what helps, what I heard is when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, when we hear two lectures, our first task is to dispel the ignorance on the level of our intelligence. When our intelligence is freed from ignorance, and let's say the more our intelligence is freed from ignorance, the more we can control our ignorance on the gross level. So I hope it's a reply to your question.
Okay, thank you. Another thing that you said that devotees are experts. And devotees are expert in everything. So Prabhupada is giving us examples showing that when he went to the West, anybody, any was a good artist, he was asking to do some artistic job, or someone was just like Jalan was making the Jalan Theatre. So like this Prabhupada engaged everybody in their qualification, whatever qualification was there. We used to engage this one. So we understand that expecting of us that whatever expert we are, we can do in that field. Just if you are expert in music and you can go and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama Rama. Somebody is expert in cooking, somebody is expert in detailed dressing, somebody is in detailed dress. So this all expertise combined, then it means that the one person is doing the things.
Yeah. Well, the main thing is a good devotee. One good devotee can inspire thousands of professionals to do a lot of good things. Like let's say Radhanath Maharaj, his disciples, many of them are very educated and very qualified people. They are doctors and other professionals like this. Yeah, and as far as our abilities, if I got it right, Prabhupada had two approaches. Like in case of renounced people, like brahmacharis and sannyasis, he didn't encourage all these, professional subdivisions too much, because he deemed their main responsibility to be preaching. They were supposed to preach like priests do, like brahmanas. And as far as grihasthas is a different story, because in our case, let's say a good 50% of our time during the day we have to devote to our professional responsibilities. And basically, if you are good in sadhana, you will be good in your profession also, because everything in the material world requires constant practice, like everyday endeavor to achieve. Let's say a businessman goes to his shop every day, and every day he has to do three main things. He has to be attentive, very attentive with money, clients, and he has to basically study his clients. He has to learn how to interact with his clients, how to understand what they need, and like this. So, and this is what they are doing every day. And other people, other professionals doing the same thing. They have to learn some skills to be efficient in their profession. Yeah. So when we are in grihastha ashram is one story, and if we are brahmacharis, then usually brahmacharis and sannyasis are encouraged more to do preaching work, because they have time. They don't have the burden of family responsibilities like this.
We see that this temple, Vrindavan temple, Bombay temple was Prabhupada is due to Surabhi Prabhu, and he designed and he made it very nicely, Bombay temple and this temple. Yeah. Also other temples also were done by this one. So it's Prabhupada knew that this person is qualified in this field, so we engaged them in that field. So similarly, we should understand what is our field. We should engage those who are in that will help us.
Yeah, Surabhi Prabhu wanted, I read that he wanted to accept, he just wanted to chant more rounds. He wanted to become kind of like Babaji. And Prabhupada replied him something like, what are you talking about? I want you to build a skyscraper for me here. So, okay. So Prabhuji had a question? Or something to say?
Is it possible that in presence of severe bodily pain one can continue devotional service?
Is it possible to
continue devotional service in presence of severe bodily pain?
Well, in case of severe bodily pain, our first responsibility, that's also, according to Srila Prabhupada's words, that first responsibility is to do everything to treat ourselves, to cure our disease, And then if it's impossible, then to become renounced from our disease. And see, when we have a severe pain, bodily pain, like I'm talking from my experience also, basic things basic things matter, like the ability to finish your rounds, right? Like this, to finish 16 rounds, and hear to some katha, to have some nice association. So yeah, so it's possible, but when we undergo severe pain, then we probably can do less on the external level. And at this time, what matters is the quality of our chanting and the remembrance of Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad-Gita ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai.